Emma clutched Lily tightly, her scream slicing through the silence of the small apartment. Daniel's eyes burned with fury as he towered in the doorway, his fists clenched, words dripping with venom. Emma said, "You will not walk away from her again, Daniel." His face twisted, but rage drowned hesitation. The door slammed shut with a thunderous crash that rattled the walls. Emma staggered back, heart racing, sirens wailing faintly in the distance as Lily whimpered into her mother's chest. Emma whispered, "You're safe with me, baby, I promise." The weight of betrayal pressed down on her shoulders like a storm refusing to pass. Every beat of silence afterward was deafening, broken only by Lily's sobs. Emma's grip tightened, her resolve hardening. That night, she understood the battle had already begun, and the fight for her child would cost everything. Emma sat in silence, Daniel's fury still echoing in her bones. The air smelled of rain and fear. Lily tugged her sleeve and whispered, "Is he coming back?" Emma's lips curved into a shaky smile as she stroked her daughter's hair. "Not tonight, sweetheart. You're safe here." The storm rumbled outside, masking the frantic rhythm of Emma's heart. She glanced at the cracked walls, each mark a reminder of battles already fought. Every sacrifice, every tear had led her to this fragile moment. Lily's breathing steadied as sleep claimed her, but Emma's chest tightened with dread. She bent low, whispering into the silence, "They'll have to break me before I let anyone take you." The storm outside was nothing compared to the one rising inside her. Emma carried Lily to her room, laying her gently on the bed. She tucked the blanket to her chin, brushing golden strands from her forehead. Lily murmured, "Don't let him take me." Emma kissed her softly, whispering, "Never, my love." She stood in the doorway, watching her daughter's chest rise and fall, steady against the chaos outside. Her gaze drifted to the dresser, where the wedding ring lay abandoned. Memories rushed back, Daniel's promises, nights of loneliness, tears hidden behind closed doors. Emma's hand shook as she picked up the ring, its weight heavy with betrayal. She dropped it into the drawer with a sharp thud, shutting it firmly. The mirror caught her reflection, tired, broken, but eyes blazing with a fire that could not be extinguished. Emma entered the kitchen, the steady hum of the refrigerator filling the void. She poured water into a glass, her hand trembling. Outside, thunder cracked, echoing her unrest. She leaned against the counter, staring at chipped tiles, thoughts heavy with survival. A pile of bills sat in the corner, each one whispering of looming threats. Daniel's anger replayed in her mind, sharper with each heartbeat. Her chest tightened, yet she shook her head. "No more," she muttered, gripping the glass until her knuckles whitened. She would not crumble. For Lily, she would stand taller, fight harder, endure longer. The storm battered the window, but Emma's resolve grew stronger. Fear was real, but so was her strength. Dawn crept through the rain-streaked window, pale light flooding the tired apartment. Emma sat at the table, a notebook open before her, scribbling in jagged handwriting. Each page filled with frantic calculations, desperate plans for survival. The custody battle loomed in every line she wrote. She glanced at Lily's closed bedroom door, her chest aching but resolve unshaken. "They'll have to tear me apart before I let them take her," she whispered fiercely. Her pen slipped as tears blurred the ink, smudging the page. She closed the notebook and pressed it against her chest, trembling. The storm had passed outside, but within her, the war had only begun. The morning sun spilled faintly through the blinds, casting pale stripes across Emma's face as she prepared breakfast. Lily sat at the table, legs dangling, watching her mother with tired eyes. Emma forced a smile and said, "We'll make today better, my love." The smell of toast filled the room, but her stomach churned with unease. Bills pinned under a magnet on the fridge caught her gaze, each one a silent reminder of battles ahead. Lily's soft voice broke the tension. "Can I stay home with you today?" Emma turned, brushing crumbs from her hands, and whispered, "I wish we could, sweetheart, but we have to keep moving." The silence between them was heavy, but beneath it, Emma's determination simmered. For Lily, she would keep standing. The walk to school was quiet, the streets damp from last night's storm. Emma held Lily's hand tightly, scanning every corner as though Daniel might appear. Lily skipped over puddles, her giggle breaking through the heaviness. Emma smiled faintly, hiding her fear. As they neared the school gates, Sarah, Emma's closest friend, waved from across the street. Sarah said, "Call me if you need anything." Emma nodded, her grip on Lily firm as she whispered, "Go on, sweetheart, I'll be right here when school ends." Lily hesitated, then ran toward the playground. Watching her daughter disappear through the gate, Emma's chest tightened. She whispered, "You'll be safe here." The words tasted like a promise she couldn't be certain of keeping. Emma arrived at her workplace, a cramped office buzzing with stale fluorescent light. She slid into her chair, the weight of exhaustion hidden behind forced composure. Her boss, Mr. Turner, passed by, eyes narrowing. He said, "Late again, Emma. This can't keep happening." Her heart sank, but she answered softly, "I'll make it up, sir." Papers piled on her desk like mountains, every page whispering deadlines she could hardly meet. She rubbed her temples, Daniel's face flashing in her mind. The office noise swirled, phones ringing, keyboards clattering, while Emma whispered to herself, "I just need to get through today." She pressed forward, clinging to fragments of strength, knowing this job was her lifeline for Lily. During lunch, Emma sat alone on a bench outside the building, clutching a paper cup of coffee. Sarah joined her, resting a gentle hand on her shoulder. Sarah said, "You can't keep carrying this weight alone." Emma stared at the cup, steam fading quickly in the cool air. "I don't have a choice," she whispered. Sarah leaned closer, her tone firm but caring. "You have me. Stop shutting me out." Emma's eyes glistened, but she forced back the tears. She wanted to trust, wanted to lean on someone, but fear built walls too high. "If I fall apart, Lily falls apart," she murmured. Sarah's expression softened. "Then let me help you stand." Emma's silence was her only reply. That night, Emma returned home, the apartment silent, except for the hum of the radiator. Lily played quietly with a stuffed animal on the couch, her innocence shielding her from the storm raging outside. Emma sat beside her, brushing strands of hair from her daughter's face. Lily said, "You look tired, Mommy." Emma forced a smile, whispering, "I'm just thinking a lot, love." The weight of bills, Daniel's threats, and the looming custody battle pressed on her. But in Lily's eyes, there was light. Emma hugged her tightly, her voice breaking as she whispered, "You're all that matters." In that moment, she realized no court, no betrayal, no fear could ever shatter the bond between them. Emma sat in the lawyer's waiting room, the sterile smell of paper and ink filling her lungs. Her hands shook as she clutched the custody papers, each word feeling like a blade. Lily's future was hidden between those lines, fragile and uncertain. Daniel's threats echoed in her mind, his voice a storm she could not escape. Across the room, another mother laughed with her child, the sound stabbing Emma with envy. She whispered, "I'll never let him win." Her reflection in the glass door looked pale, tired, but fierce. Every sacrifice had led to this moment, every scar etched into her heart, a reminder of why she must endure. That evening, Emma sat at the kitchen table, bills scattered like fallen leaves. Sarah leaned across from her, eyes sharp with concern. Sarah said, "You can't keep fighting him alone." Emma rubbed her temples, whispering, "I don't have a choice." Sarah pushed the bills aside, voice rising. "You're strong, but even you break. Let me stand with you." Emma's chest tightened, torn between fear and gratitude. She wanted to let Sarah in, but trust felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. "If I falter, Lily pays the price," she said, her voice trembling. Sarah leaned closer, whispering, "Then let's make sure you don't falter." At school pickup, Emma stood at the gate as Lily ran into her arms, laughter breaking the heaviness of the day. Daniel appeared suddenly across the street, his presence sharp as a knife. His eyes locked onto Emma, lips twisting into a cruel smile. Emma held Lily tighter, whispering, "Don't look, baby." Daniel shouted, "This isn't over, Emma." The words cut through the afternoon air, drawing stares from nearby parents. Emma's pulse thundered as she turned quickly, guiding Lily away. Fear coiled in her stomach, but her grip on her daughter never loosened. Each step away was a vow. He would not break them. That night, Emma found herself unable to sleep, shadows creeping across the walls. Lily stirred in bed, murmuring in half-dream, "Don't let him take me." Emma sat at her bedside, brushing hair from her daughter's face. "No one will, love," she whispered. The silence pressed heavy, broken only by the hum of the radiator. Emma's eyes wandered to the window, rain-streaking glass under flickering streetlights. Her reflection stared back, eyes hollow, yet filled with fire. "He won't destroy us," she whispered again, this time to herself, the words a fragile shield against despair. Following day, Emma walked into her boss's office, papers clutched in hand. Mr. Turner looked up, his expression stern. He said, "Emma, your performance is slipping. If this continues, I'll have to let you go." Her chest tightened, fear pressing harder than ever. She pleaded softly, "Please, I'm doing everything I can." Turner sighed, shaking his head. "I need results, not excuses." Emma left the office with her heart heavy, the hallway stretching like a tunnel of dread. Losing her job meant losing stability, and stability meant Lily's safety. She whispered to herself, "I can't afford to fail now." Emma sat at the dining table late at night, unpaid bills scattered like fallen leaves. Sarah leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, her voice steady but sharp. Sarah said, "You're drowning, Emma, and you won't even let me throw you a rope." Emma's hands pressed against her temples, exhaustion etched across her face. "If I lean on you, I'll just pull you under with me," she whispered. Sarah shook her head, stepping closer, her eyes fierce. "You're not alone, not anymore." Emma's chest tightened, torn between gratitude and fear of disappointment. The clock ticked loudly, each second like a drum beat of urgency. The next morning, Emma walked Lily to school, the chill in the air sharper than usual. Lily squeezed her hand, asking softly, "Mommy, why is Daddy so mad?" Emma swallowed hard, forcing calm into her voice. "He's angry at me, not you, love." Lily's eyes searched hers, full of innocence and fear. Emma smiled gently, brushing a strand of blonde hair back. "You're safe with me." At the gate, Sarah waved again, her presence like a lifeline in the distance. Emma kissed Lily's forehead and whispered, "Be brave, sweetheart." Watching Lily walk away, her heart clenched with both pride and dread. At work, Emma found herself summoned into Mr. Turner's office again. His voice was clipped as he said, "Your situation is affecting your performance. You need to decide where your priorities lie." Emma clenched the papers in her lap, her voice low but firm. "My child is my priority." Turner sighed, leaning back, his expression cold. "Then this job may not be for you." Emma rose slowly, her heart pounding but her chin lifted. Outside the office, Sarah waited in the hallway, her eyes asking the question Emma couldn't answer aloud. Emma whispered, "I can't lose both." The walls felt tighter, her future crumbling inch by inch. That evening, Emma sat in the living room with Lily curled against her side, the TV flickering faint light. A knock at the door froze her in place. She opened it to find Daniel standing there, smirk sharp as a blade. "You can't keep her from me forever," he sneered. Emma's voice shook but carried steel. "Not while I breathe." Daniel leaned closer, whispering venom, "The court will see who you really are." She slammed the door, heart racing as she locked it twice. Lily's voice trembled from the couch. "Mommy, what did he want?" Emma forced calm into her voice. "Nothing, love. Just nothing." Later that night, Emma sat alone by the window, rain streaking the glass. Her reflection stared back at her, eyes hollow but fierce. She whispered, "I won't let him win." Across the table, Sarah spread out legal documents she had managed to obtain, her face lit with determination. "We can build a case," Sarah said, her tone steady. Emma's hand trembled as she touched the papers, hope mixing with fear. What if I'm not strong enough? She asked. Sarah's eyes met hers firmly. Then I'll be strong for you. For the first time, Emma allowed a flicker of trust to break through the walls. Emma sat at the kitchen table, exhaustion weighing on her like a stone. Sarah placed another set of papers in front of her, frustration simmering in her voice. We need something more, Emma, or he'll destroy you in court. Emma buried her face in her hands, whispering, I don't know what else to give. The sound of a knock startled them both. Emma opened the door cautiously, finding a woman she hadn't seen in years. Her Aunt Margaret stood there, eyes sharp, expression unreadable. It's time you knew the truth, Margaret said. Emma's heart froze, the air thick with history and secrets long buried. Emma stared at Margaret, disbelief flooding her. Why are you here now? She asked, voice sharp. Margaret removed her coat slowly, her eyes never leaving Emma's. Because Daniel isn't fighting alone, she said. Emma's chest tightened as the words settled like knives. Sarah whispered, What do you mean? Margaret's gaze shifted, heavy with regret. There are things about your past you don't know, and he's using them against you. Emma staggered back, clutching the counter for support. You left me when I needed you most, she spat. Margaret's face cracked with sorrow. I know, and I'll carry that shame forever, but you need me now. Margaret placed a worn folder on the table, its edges frayed with time. These are records I never wanted you to see, she said softly. Emma's hands trembled as she opened it, revealing documents tied to her troubled teenage years. Tears blurred her vision as shame resurfaced like a wound ripped open. He knows about this, Margaret continued, and he plans to use it to prove you unfit. Emma shook her head, whispering, That was another life. I'm not that girl anymore. Sarah's hand closed over hers firmly. Then we fight to prove it. Emma looked between them, her breath shallow. For the first time, her past stood beside her, demanding to be faced. Emma paced the living room, her chest tight with anger and fear. He'll twist everything, she said, her voice cracking. Margaret stood near the window, watching the rain fall. I should have told you long ago, she admitted, her voice heavy with guilt. Sarah stepped between them, firm but gentle. This isn't about blame. It's about survival. Emma stopped pacing, tears shining in her eyes. If the court believes him, I lose Lily. Margaret turned, her face etched with determination. Then we'll give them no reason to. The three women stood in silence, the storm outside echoing the one rising within. Later that night, Emma sat beside Lily's bed, watching her sleep peacefully. She brushed hair from her daughter's forehead, whispering, I'll face whatever I must to keep you safe. Behind her, Margaret appeared in the doorway, her expression softened by memory and regret. You're stronger than I ever was, she said quietly. Emma turned, eyes filled with pain but also resolve. Strength doesn't mean I'm not afraid. Sarah's voice carried from the hallway, steady as ever. Fear means you're fighting for something that matters. Emma kissed Lily's forehead gently, her tears falling silently. The battle ahead loomed larger, but for the first time, she would not face it alone. The courtroom buzzed with quiet tension as Emma sat beside her lawyer, her hands trembling under the table. Daniel sat across the aisle, his smirk cold and confident. Lily wasn't present, but her absence pressed heavy in Emma's chest. The judge entered, and the room hushed, the sound of the gavel cracking like thunder. Emma whispered under her breath, for her, I must win. Her lawyer leaned close and said, Stay calm, tell the truth and let them see who you are. Emma nodded faintly, her gaze fixed on Daniel, whose eyes glimmered with arrogance. Every breath felt like a countdown to war. Daniel took the stand, his voice smooth but laced with poison. She's unstable, unfit, and living off scraps, he declared, painting Emma as a danger to her child. Emma's fists clenched beneath the table, her nails digging into her palms. Her lawyer objected sharply, but the judge allowed him to continue. Daniel smirked as he listed Emma's past mistakes, twisting truths into daggers. Sarah, seated in the gallery, whispered fiercely, Don't let him break you. Emma's eyes glistened, but she held her head high, whispering back to herself, "He doesn't get to write my story." The air grew colder with every word he spat. Emma rose to the stand, her knees weak, but her spirit unyielding. The courtroom watched as she took the oath, her voice steady despite the storm within. Her lawyer asked, "Why do you fight so hard for custody?" Emma swallowed, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Because Lily is my life. Every choice I've made, every sacrifice has been for her. I've stumbled, but I've never stopped loving her." The silence in the room deepened, her words ringing with truth. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, his smirk faltering. Emma held her gaze forward, refusing to let shame silence her any longer. Margaret entered the courtroom as a surprise witness, her steps slow but resolute. Gasps rippled through the room as she swore the oath. She spoke firmly. "Emma has faced hardships, but she has never abandoned her child. I know because I failed her once, and I will not fail her again." Emma's breath caught, tears filling her eyes as Daniel's face paled. The lawyer pressed Margaret, "Do you believe Emma provides a safe home?" Margaret answered without hesitation, "Yes, more than safe. She provides love." Emma bowed her head, the weight of both betrayal and redemption colliding in her chest. The closing arguments echoed like final blows in a battle. Daniel's lawyer sneered, "She is unstable, trapped by her past." Emma's lawyer rose, her voice cutting through. "Her past does not define her, but her love does. Every piece of evidence shows her devotion to Lily." Emma clasped her hands together, whispering a silent prayer. She looked at the judge, her eyes unwavering. "All I ask," she whispered faintly, "is the chance to keep her safe." The gavel struck, the sound reverberating through Emma's bones. The decision loomed, and every soul in the room held its breath. The judge's words rang through the silent courtroom, final and irreversible. "Custody is awarded to the mother." Emma's breath caught, tears filling her eyes as her lawyer touched her arm gently. Daniel's face twisted with rage, his fists clenching, but his voice failed him. Sarah exhaled in relief, whispering, "You did it." Emma closed her eyes, every sacrifice flashing before her like a reel of pain and love. She whispered softly, "We're safe now, Lily." Yet beneath the victory a hollow ache lingered, the scars of betrayal carved deep. She stood tall, not just as a mother who had won, but as a woman who had survived. Emma stepped outside the courthouse, the cool air rushing against her face. Reporters shouted questions, cameras flashing, but she shielded her eyes and moved forward. Sarah walked beside her, acting as a barrier. Margaret lingered behind, her expression solemn yet proud. Emma whispered, "This isn't a victory parade, it's survival." Sarah squeezed her shoulder, answering firmly, "Survival is victory enough." Emma spotted the taxi waiting, her heart aching to hold Lily again. She whispered, "Take me home." Each step away from the courthouse felt like walking out of a cage, but freedom carried its own weight. Back at the apartment, Emma entered quietly, finding Lily asleep on the couch, clutching her stuffed animal. Kneeling, she kissed her daughter's forehead, whispering, "It's over, love. You're safe." Lily stirred, blinking up at her with sleepy eyes. "You promise?" Emma nodded firmly, holding back tears. "Always." Sarah placed a hand on Emma's shoulder, while Margaret stood silently in the background, regret softening into peace. The room felt lighter than it had in months, though shadows of the past still lingered. For the first time in years, hope dared to settle in Emma's chest. Later that night, Emma sat alone at the table, the apartment quiet except for the faint hum of the radiator. The notebook lay open before her, pages filled with frantic plans, now smudged with tears. She picked up the pen but set it down again, realizing the war she fought was not with ink or numbers, but with her own heart. She whispered, "We survived, but survival isn't the same as peace." The closed door to Lily's room glowed faintly with light from under the crack. Aye. Emma placed her hand on her chest, steadying her breath. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe in tomorrow. In the final moments, Emma stood by Lily's bedroom door, her hand resting gently on the frame. She whispered softly, "We're stronger now, and we'll never stop fighting." She entered the room and sat beside Lily, brushing back golden strands of hair. Lily smiled in her sleep, her breathing steady and calm. Emma leaned back, a true smile breaking across her face. Unburdened for the first time in years. The storm outside had passed, leaving only the quiet promise of dawn. Whatever came next, she was ready. For her child, for herself, for the life they had yet to build.